It's been a while since we've had a classic Hector challenge, and we were worried that he was almost starting to feel happy again, so we knew it was time. The point of these challenges is to prove that you can always do something about the terrible circumstances you find yourself in when playing in low elo. This time, we're making him feed the enemy 5 kills to simulate playing from behind. So many things can go wrong that can put your opponent ahead. You miss a skill shot, costing you an all-in, your jungler into your lane, etc. 5 deaths should give his opponent a pretty crazy lead, and we're sure Hector is going to struggle with this one. Probably. As always, Hector gets one shot at this, and it had to be on a champion that struggles when it falls behind. Ryze is incredibly item dependent and weak during the early game, so we allowed Hector to choose him. We'd also love to tell you the elo that he's playing in, but almost everyone in the game had bot accounts. Obviously, he's going to be against some smurfs. Well, let's jump right into it with a quick death montage.
Oh no. Well played. See? No, how could you? Rammus flash, jungle diff. Can't. This guy's just dead. It's really annoying. I can just kill him. I'm gonna kill the Rammus. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't be farming. Maybe I should just let. Okay, I can't just stand still, otherwise it's really obvious I'm trolling.
And for his last death, Hector ends up teleporting bottom to help his team out, finally putting himself at 5 deaths. Yep, sorry Mordekaiser, this really was loser's queue. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, a sub to the channel would be incredible. Before getting into how Hector claws his way back into the game, we're actually going to talk about someone a bit different but fairly similar, the Baus FFS. If you don't know who he is, the Baus FFS is a EU West Challenger player who is known for his crazy plays, but mostly his feeding, especially when playing Sion, but let's be honest, on other champions as well. He is constantly dying over and over again, and yet he is better than 99.999% of the player base. The thing is though, very often when he's dying, he's almost always pushed up to the enemy turret or even proxying waves. Even if he does die, he actually doesn't miss that much farm at the end of it all since he cleared out the waves before going down. In fact, despite having atrocious KDAs, he has better farm on his main champions against challenger players than most of us do against low elo players. This is a concept that Hector discussed a bit during his commentary.
Kinda like this, so even if I die right now, all these minions are dead. See?
This will be the main lesson for today's challenge, understanding the quality of deaths and kills. Depending on how you kill your opponent or you die in lane plays a huge part in whether the gold difference at the end is going to be either game losing or not that big of a deal. If you noticed, just like the Baus FFS, every time Hector died, he was playing very aggressively at the Galio's tower, with the wave either completely cleared or mostly dead. With the wave entirely gone, the enemy can't push after killing you and there's no minions for you to miss while you're dead. The gold swing is literally just 300 gold or 450 if you gave the enemy jungler an assist. That's really not that terrible at the end of the day. Now let's compare that to a different kind of death. Let's say you got ganked while the enemy was building up a slow push against you of about 12 minions. After your death, the enemy team gets 2 turret plates on top of it. Time to get out our calculators. The average gold per minion is 20, so 240 from all the minions lost on top of the experience you were denied, the 320 gold from the turret plates, and the 450 gold from the actual kill. That's around a 1000 gold swing in total from your death, literally more than double of what the previous death was. Not only that, but there's also a difference in how the waves will look afterwards. In that example where you die from a slow push, your incoming wave gets delayed at your tower while dealing with the big crash. This causes an eventual slow push back to the enemy, putting you in a position to die again due to a bad lane state. If you die while pushing, as we've been discussing, then at best your opponent can crash one wave into your tower before you get back. This likely won't cause your wave to delay, and as we can see, Hector usually came back to a fairly neutral lane state. Okay, so why are we going over all of this? Well, basically Hector, despite literally handing over 5 kills, wasn't really that far behind. He was even up around 20 CS after his final death, so maybe he's down around 1000 gold or so. We'll let him take it from here for a bit.
Basically the idea when playing from behind is you just wait for your opponent to screw up. And the beauty about low elo is that your opponent will screw up. Almost everything people do in low elo is a mistake. Like, this is technically a mistake, by the way. Like, what if my Evelyn is just here? So this guy's dead. My Q didn't bounce. That's so unfortunate. He was dead if my Q bounced. Nice play. I think I rooted him too early. Nice.
And that's it. That was the challenge. Within seconds of him beginning to play seriously, the Galio instantly threw his lead and Hector was incredibly ahead of him in experience now. Let's cover both of Galio's mistakes so you don't commit them yourselves. First up is the feint Hector did by going into the brush. This is a tactic that works much better in high elo than low elo. Basically, by running in here, your opponent has to respect the fact that your jungler could be on this side of the river. It's especially useful when you're tracking your own jungler to know when the enemy hasn't seen them. In this game, Evelyn had been doing red and Krugs for a while, therefore it's highly unlikely anyone has seen her, so this brush play by Hector is correct since Galio should be wary of getting baited at the moment. This should give Hector positional advantage to continue the trade, since he can get free damage while Galio retreats from here. Of course, we know Galio doesn't and continues to chase. That being said, this is one of the tricky parts about learning League and analyzing your own gameplay. Just because you don't get punished for a mistake doesn't mean that you made the right call. Evelyn not being here does not excuse Galio's face check, and in a better world he would have been punished for it 100% of the time. But even worse than that mistake is Galio's next blunder. Why is he trying to take a full all-in with a Conqueror Rise as Galio? DPS champions, even when behind, will absolutely murder low damage bruiser mid laners. A 0-3 Cassiopeia will beat a 3-0 Twisted Fate in an all-in every single time. An 0-3 Aurelio will dumpster a Silas all-in every single time. You absolutely have to chunk your opponent down before committing in these types of matchups. But yeah, like we said, the challenge is literally just over. We'd love to cover more, but at this point he's just a challenger player on even footing with everyone else. Even if some of the other players are smurfs, they are nowhere near his skill level and he just stomps the game. He does throw a few times here and there in typical Hector fashion, but otherwise hard carries his team, who are all pretty worthless. No offense. If you want to check out the full commentary, as always, it's right there on the site. The main takeaway of this guide is how deaths don't actually have to be that meaningful if you're shoving waves in before dying. It's a great way of limit testing without really hurting your chances of winning all too much. If you're going to play aggressively, then push the wave first and then do your limit testing. That way you can work on your mechanics while still being able to win the game. And this isn't just applicable during the laning phase either. We actually covered this topic for the mid and late game in a limit testing guide we made based on caps a little while ago. One of the lessons in that guide is how he also uses this strategy for working on his mechanics in solo queue, so you may want to check that guide out if you're interested in that a bit further. By the way, you should know where these videos come from. Our hyper improvement platform Skillcapped is by far the best place to be if you want to actually improve at League of Legends. You can input your rank before you sign up and see where we think you'll climb to. If you don't reach that rank while actively using Skillcapped, you can claim a full refund. That's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped or you get your money back. We offer this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't, you shouldn't have to pay for it. So be sure to check us out after this. Alright everyone, that's going to wrap this guide up. Once again, it wasn't really a challenge for Hector. Unfortunately, we forgot that he could make his deaths so meaningless this way. Maybe we should combine this challenge with the 0CS Nessus challenge we had him do earlier. That way he truly gets the playing from behind experience. Or maybe give us some other ideas in the comments below for a challenge that might actually be difficult for once. As always, thanks for watching.